Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I will not present myself because Anna did already. And this afternoon, I'm going to present a part of my results from a 2 years experiment on fertilizer microdosing applied to maize in shea parkland system of northern Benin and Ghana. I hope you can hear me well, please. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Perfect. So sub-Saharan Africa is experiencing rapid population growth, which is placing a huge pressure on food production system. At the same time, agricultural productivity in the region is limited due to soil fertility constraints. In this context, the conventional soil fertility methods are no more sufficient to sustain the agricultural productivity. So the application of mineral fertilizer has become an alternative, a strategy actually to improve crop yield in the region. However, we realize that a large number of farmers has limited access to those fertilizer, and also about 70% of farmers are poor resources and they don't have enough resources to apply the nationally recommended rates of fertilizer. Then 2 decades ago, fertilizer microdosing has been developed as a technology to be low cost and shown to be efficient in monoculture in the region. And so why share parkland system? In the semi-arid, oh, I lost my screen. Sorry. I have a technical problem. I don't have my full screen anymore. 1 second. Good. I hope you can still see my screen.
We can still see your screen. We have a good slide.
You.
We have the introduction slide.
So why share parkland system? In the semi-arid Sudanian and Guinean zone, share tree dominates parkland system, making up to 80% of the trees in those zones. And it is share tree constitutes the main source of income of women of the region. And farmers believe that integrating crop into those systems will improve soil fertility and buffer climate risk. So they mostly plant tubers and cereals within those parkland systems with maize as dominant crop. What's happening with my screen? So I want to emphasize here that our main concern here is smallholder farmer in sub-Saharan Africa, which has low resources. So our objective here is to compare maize yields and profitability under fertilizer microdosing to no fertilizer and the nationally recommended rates of each country, and also to quantify the effect of share tree on maize yield. The study has been carried out in the villages of Wewe and Busunu, respectively in northern Benin and Ghana. And the soil in the region are slightly acidic with a loamy sand. Annual rainfall in the region in Benin in 2023 was about 1,400 millimeter and 1,100 millimeter in 2024. Meanwhile, in Ghana, we have about 1,300 in 2023 and 700 in 2024. Average temperature in Benin was 27 degree and 28.5 degree in Ghana. So we selected 4 trees per villages and delineated each tree in 4 zones. the zone A, which is the canopy area, and 3, 10, and 20 meters away from the canopy. We delineated them as zone, and we applied in each zone 3 fertilizer application strategies that we are going to talk about in the next slide. So the fertilizer application strategies are mainly control, which is no fertilizer, and the microdosing with the formula you can see there, which we apply the same for Benin and Ghana. And the nationally recommended rates, which is different because it depends on the national policy maker and also mainly on the initial soil properties. So our main field trial stage, when we delineated, when we selected the 4 trees in each villages, we delineated each zone, and after the demarcation of plot and subplot, we passed through the main farming processes, which are plowing and all those you can see in the images. Then later on, we pick soil samples that we later analyze for initial soil property. Then it was followed by plant sowing and application of different doses of fertilizer. As a result, we observed an increase in maize yields with distance away from the shea canopy in both countries and in both planting season, 2023 and 2024. Also, average yield in zone A was respectively 22 and 18% lower in zone A than the other zone, the average of the other zone, respectively in Benin and Ghana. And also the average yield in Benin 2024 was 1.5 folds higher than 2023. But we had the opposite in Ghana where the average yield was 42% higher in 2024 than 2023. We can explain that with the rainfall pattern that I mentioned earlier, where Benin having more rain in 2023 compared to 2024, and the opposite in Ghana. Concerning the fertilizer application rates, we observe an increase. We observe yield increase with rate of fertilizer with microdosing and recommended rate 23 and 30% respectively higher than the control in Benin. The same pattern in Ghana where microdosing and recommended rates having 46 and 88% respectively higher yield than control. What we can conclude here is that both microdosing and recommended rates increase maize yields, with microdosing offering considerable yield gain at lower input level. When we look at the fertilizer use efficiency, which is how plants use the nutrients applied through fertilizer, we observe that average fertilizer use efficiency for microdosing plots were 4.5 times higher than the recommended rates in Benin. And also, fertilizer use efficiency from microdosing plots were 35% higher than the recommended rates in Ghana. We can conclude here that the improving fertilizer use efficiency under the microdosing plots suggests a lower environmental risk and the greater sustainability of fertilizer use. Remember, we mentioned that we are going to look at the economic aspect. So, concerning the economic aspect, even though in Benin, microdosing and recommended rates incur total cost that way, 19 and 89% higher than the control, their profits were respectively 30 and 37% higher than the control. We have the same trend in Ghana where microdosing and recommended rates incur the total cost that were 40 and 90% higher than the control, with a profit that were 76 and 100% higher than the profit. Overall, when we look at the time distribution, overall, the control in microdosing are 9 and 15% less labor demanding than the recommended rate. So, fertilizer microdosing improves profitability without the high costs and labor burden associated with recommended rates. This study provides a comprehensive evaluation of fertilizer microdosing by integrating the agronomic, economic, and the labor dimension. However, given the limited number of sites where we consider only one village per country, the results should be interpreted as context-specific, highlighting trend rather than universal recommendation. In conclusion, our 2 years study shows that fertilizer microdosing is a practical entering pathway to sustainable crop intensification in shea parkland system, boosting yields and increasing smallholder farmer profit. The approaches reduce considerably fertilizer needs, just the cost of production, and it also reduces environmental risk. So the take-home message here will be fertilizer microdosing increase maize yield, profitability, and fertilizer use efficiency, making it a key tool for more sustainable agroforestry system in the Sudanian zone of West Africa. Thank you very much.